Hey guys, back again. So it's time to, well, not finish that because we still have the CSS left, but to make, but I think this is going to be the last video. You will see why in a second. So, okay, let's move this here. So we have the arrow left, which is the first one on which we're going to work. We're going to set the add event listener. Okay, we're going to listen for the click event inside this arrow left. That you can see is the this thing. Okay, so we need to define what we want to do here. So I'm just going to grab, I have the event here for some reason. Maybe I just did that. This is not going to change anything, but I have it there. We actually don't need that, but let's just keep it there. You will see why I have this, or why this is not going to mean anything for this example, but I think I just did that by a reflex. So slider that class list, we're going to check the this is going to allow us to get the class or the classes and to work with those, so we can add a new class which is going to be height for this slider. Okay, so we're going to work for the slider. Now we're going to set the timeout and do something similar to what we did here, okay, with this functionality, but in this case we're going to check if count equals to 0, count equals to data.length less 1. Okay, you will see how this works in a second. A slider that style that background image, yep, and we're going to just grab, yeah, we can just grab the same that we have here, linear gradient and the data source count. Okay, so we're going to check if it's 0, then we're going to grab the current data length and subtract 1 to that. You will see how this works in a second. Just, let me just finish this. Subtitle, okay, this is actually the same that we're setting here. Copy and paste. Okay, so this is actually the same thing, and you can see that text content actually works, okay, instead of inner HTML, and I will explain the difference between those in a second, but just give me a second, let me just check. Okay, so we have this if, which is finishing here, I think it should. So else, once we have the else, I will explain how this thing is working. So count minus minus or less, and we can define actually the same thing that we have here, a slider and this part. Let's save this. We have now, okay, the set timeout. We define the time here, 500 milliseconds, and here the class, sorry, a slider, that class list, that remove height. Okay, so console, okay, did I do that correctly? Slider hide. Okay, just let me just go to my main CSS and get the classes. So I want all this to be set so you can understand better. Okay, it's working. Oh yeah, but it's waiting 500 milliseconds because yeah. Okay. Let me just get the classes and I will explain that how it works in a second. So let me just get the body and paste it because I could explain, but it's going to be easier for you to see while this is working with the classes, with the animation, well, not animation, but with the yeah, with the classes, how this really works. So I'm using Noto. I need body. Okay, I will copy Noto in a second. The transition. Let me just save that. I'm going to set the container to be 100%. The header h1. The main. Okay. And this is, okay, you can see we have some space there. Header h1. Okay, I forgot to do something. Sorry, we're not seeing anything actually. So I just forgot to add the CSS there. Let me just copy these two things and paste them. So this is the reference for the Google API's font, which is the Noto Sans. And this is the reference of my main CSS. So we make a link with the relationship style sheet with the edge reference to the file that we want to reference and the type text CSS, which I don't think is needed right now. As you can see, it changes. Okay, so this is what I wanted to see. So, okay, you can see that it's still working and it's going to still working or is still going to work. Okay, my bad English, sorry. So, okay, so now I'm going to paste the slider, okay, position relative, display none, height 600, margin 0 auto. You can see the background and the border radius and the box shadow, just for reasons. So you can see we have this, and if I click the other one, it's going to change the second slider because we haven't changed the images, which we're going to do in a second. Okay, so we still have a few things to explain. So let me just make the slider and the arrows just kind of work. Okay, so this is the slider content. You can see that we have the color, width is going to be center, the padding top to be kind of center aligned with that, and the slide left and slide right, which are the arrows. This is the style for both of them, and you can see that are going to display on top of each other because they are in an absolute position. And now what we need to do is just to set, we just copy this, and this is going to be, I think, the last part we're going to copy right now. The slide left, okay, you can just copy all this, and this is just basic CSS. So we're going to set the top 50% of the slide left and the right, I mean the left 7% because it's on the left side, and the right of the slide right to 7% because it's on the right. Okay, as you can see, it take those two take the specific side that should be. And now if I click, okay, this one is not going to work because it's still not connected, but if I click this one, it's going to change. Okay, so what is going on here actually after all that? We're going to check if the count is 0, then we're going to get the count of the total elements. Okay, now we are going to change according to that count. We're going to set the background image to be this linear gradient because we have we have this gradient there. If I change this to 0, okay, you can see why we have that. Okay. Sorry about that. And you can see we have the overlay because we want this to be easier for the eyes, to read. So that's why we have that. And why it changes, because I'm setting this to change to that specific RGB A. Okay, that's why it didn't change when it was freeze loaded, and now it's going to work. Okay, so as I said, we're going to check it if the count is 0, then we're going to graph the count of the total objects, okay, we have here. Then we're going to define the style background of that to be the specific object source. So in this case, all the images are the same. We're going to change that in a second. And to set the text content, because remember that we have this, let me just check, okay, these two, let me make this bigger. We have the h2 and the paragraph, and those are empty. Why I'm not using inner HTML? Because with inner HTML, or what inner HTML allows us to do is to set HTML. So we could just say paragraph. Well, it's not that how it should be said, but we could just say the paragraph, and you get the idea. Let me just set it like this, and set it like that, and this should no, this is single quotes because we already have those there. If I do inner HTML, it's going to allow us to add HTML inside that. So let me just, okay, it's not showing that, okay, but well, you get the idea. What inner HTML is going to allow us to do is to change the HTML of that that specific item, but text content, did I change that? Okay, let me just go back. But text content, what it's going to allow us to do is just to change the text. We're not going to be allowed to change the HTML of that part. We're not going to be allowed to add any HTML. All that we add is going to be marked as text, okay? So that's why we are using text content instead of inner HTML. So inside the else, what is going to happen is we're going to move backwards, okay? We're going to count one less each time, and again change the specific subtitle, description, and background image to be what we have here. So let me just go here, rename is an JPG, so that's the first one, okay. Again JPG. I'm just going to change all these images. Why is not changing? Okay, rename, copy, paste. Okay, rename, copy, paste. Okay, and we need the last one, rename, Control C, copy, and paste. Okay, so we still don't have the slider CSS. That's why it's showing up here, and it's not showing even the loader. So okay, it took a second there to change first slider for a slider. Okay, rename, copy, and it didn't change. Okay, now, so if we move, okay, you can see that there's a little time that it's going to take while loading some images, okay, depending on the size. So that's why you need to optimize your images. But we still need a few things in order to move. We need the height, slider height. So you can see that then, okay, first we're adding the class height, which we still don't have. So we're going to set the slider height. Okay, let's refresh this. And if I click one, it's going to hide and it's going to go back. Okay, because we are setting the opacity of 0, we still want to have the element inside the DOM. That's why we're not going to set display but opacity. So okay, and after all this is checked, we are going to remove that height so it gets displayed again with the opacity as 1. So this is the same functionality we're going to have for the arrow right. So that's why I'm just going to copy all this and you will see the differences. Okay, and paste that. So still we're going to handle the click event inside this add event listener. As I said, we are not using the event, but we can just say, I was going to say print r for some reason, console.log event that I should have some event that something, you know, whatever we want. Event face, something like that. Let's do this for the. This is just to show you what the event that we're passing is able to do. Okay. So what I'm consoling there, event face. So we can just console something like event that is trusted. Same here. So if you want to handle some events functionality, you can just use the event parameter that we're passing here. But since we don't need that, okay, we can just remove it and move on. I did that actually because I think I'm pretty used to set the E there for the event. It's not going to change anything. Okay, as you can see, it's still working. So yeah. So let's actually take a look at this. It's still going to hide when we click that, the arrow right. It still is going to set the timeout. Okay, and it's going to change, I mean, not change, but check if we have the, if we are in the correct set, then let's just do this in order to explain better. Okay, if we are here, okay, first slider, okay, and if we move one more, what we're going to do is, okay, sorry about that, it was not first, it was fourth. Okay, the fourth slider, if we move here, it's going to go all the way to the first slider. So we are going to move here with the count to the first slider. If we are past the length of the how can I say this, of the object, okay, so this should take us to the fifth, but we don't have fifth. It is more than the length of the current set that we have of objects. Then we just set the slider or the count to be 0 again. Okay, it's the same thing that is going here, except it's going backwards. So if I'm on the first slider and go back, we go all the way to the fourth slider. Okay, Now, what else? This is actually just the same. You can see how easy this is. Setting the linear gradient. Now, did I change that? I have two different values for some reason. Okay, just let me change that. I didn't want to do that. Maybe I just forgot to change. So, and when we are clicking and we are on the 0 index and we are clicking, if we are on the first, as I said, on the index 0, then what is going to happen is that we're just going to count 1. So we're going to move through the array one by one. And again, if we reach the fourth, then we set the count to 0 again, so we can display the first slider. So this is kind of an infinite slider, so it's not going to end because it's just going to keep moving, okay, in a circle. So I think that is everything for this. Just let me get. Do I need other CSS here? I don't think so. Okay, I need something else. I still need the description and subtitle. Okay, you can see we have some little effect there. But I still need the. I didn't save this. The subtitle and description. I don't mind this indentation, to be honest. So you can see we have this first slider and the text. What the hell? Okay, so this is odd. Why did it change? Okay, I did something here that shouldn't be. Okay, do I have an error? No. It was working. Okay. Okay, because I have an S there. I didn't. Okay. Okay, now it's working. So I still need the loader. So let me just get the loader. Main CSS. Okay, we have the LDS circle. This is the same, sorry, that I showed you in the first video with the loader. And these are the keyframes. All this you can just copy from there and just get it, and you can see, and that if I do this, it's going to give 2 seconds for all that to be loaded, and now it's working, okay, the way it should. Why this one is taking that bit or that long? We could do actually something. Oh no, I don't have that. Because it's not a direct image, we cannot set it to be lazy loaded. Well, that's too bad. So, although we could preload, but well, let's just leave it like that. It's going to add more complexity to this, so it's not going to be worth it. At that point, you can just go to any slider that you find in the internet, just download that and use it. At that point, if you are going to move to a more complex thing, just go and check a jQuery slider that you want or that you like, the old slider, or I can't remember the name, and just use that, okay, instead of going all the way to build. Or if you want to build your own, sorry, then that's fine. But if not, just go and download one, so you already have the basic stuff that you need if you want to see the code and maybe fine tune it. So yeah, Well, it was a small project. It took a few bits to complete. You can see that it's working. Of course, you can just go here and remove this header. Okay, and this is going to be here. We will need to change this, but we can just set for the slider. So let's go to the slider, height 100 VH, and this is going to take all the the full width. And if you want this to be your your header, that is just a simple way to do it. And of course you will get the loading assets when you first load the page. So that's it, guys, and I hope you like this video, and if you did, well, just like the video and comment, and I will just find new projects for us to do with just plain JavaScript. So yeah, see you in the next one.